look at the light!
I can't help it. It's so beautiful.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. I lived in Washington, D.C. for 15 years. I'm not really proud of that. I don't like that fact. It was a big waste of my time and energies, a lot of it, but I learned a lot living there. The main thing I learned living there was that your government is run by a bunch of reprobates, a bunch of really despicable human beings that could never cut it in the private sector or doing something good for the country. They really do flock to Washington, D.C. like moths to a flame, and that flame is a darkened, blackened flame because there are a lot of sick people in Washington. I don't need to tell you that. I left. I fled. I couldn't take any more demonic energy in that place. If you've ever gone into Washington, D.C., you know what I'm talking about. However, I have devoted my life to exposing that and hopefully bringing some light into dark places. Now, some of the friends that I left behind in Washington, D.C., one of them told a little too much truth. And that always gets you in trouble in a place like D.C. You know, telling lies in D.C., no one's ever punished for that. Telling too much truth in Washington, D.C., saying the true things of Washington and how it runs and operates, well, that will get you in trouble. My friend Madison Cawthorn caught a case where he said, well, there are a lot of sick stuff going on in D.C. Cawthorn's orgies and drug comments stirred trouble with Freedom Caucus. You may recall this from a couple of years ago. Madison Cawthorn said effectively that there were orgies and drug-fueled parties in Washington, D.C., and that people had invited him to use cocaine. I mean, again, this only happened a few years ago, but it doesn't seem like that particularly shocking of a thing to say, given what we know now. Madison Cawthorn was effectively kicked out of Congress. They primaried him because of this, because effectively he said what was, I certainly know to be true, that there are absolutely, DC's a sunken place. Think Sodom and Gomorrah. And now, lo and behold, there are multiple sex scandals going on inside of Congress where people have filmed pornos in hearing rooms or the Capitol building itself. Oh yeah, baby. That's what's happening. Here we go from Semaphore. House quietly investigating separate sex scandals. High-profile Senate sex scandal that rocked D.C. this month was, in fact, a second time, less than 2 years, that a sexually explicit video filmed in the U.S. Capitol prompted an investigation. Spokesperson for Dan Newhouse from Washington confirms reports of purported unbecoming behavior, that's what they're calling it, by a senior staff member in their office that triggered an investigation last year. That added that there's no conclusive evidence was found. Uh-oh. The staffer, who Semaphore is not naming, denied he participated in explicit videos and disputed the elements of the characterization of the episode on a telephone interview. But Semaphore apparently has footage of this happening. MAGA declares Madison Cawthorn vindicated after Senate room sex tape. Of course, there was a grotesque, please don't search for it, grotesque video of sexual, like overt pornographic sexual escapades happening inside of the United States Senate. So that led us to ask a member of Congress to come on our show. Tim Burchett is his name. He's from Tennessee. And to sort of ask about all of this, right? And what's really going on in Washington, D.C. And what we didn't expect is that Tim Burchett would be so honest with us. Republican Rep Tim Burchett claims conservative congressmen are blackmailed after getting drunk with an attractive stranger and ending up naked in a hotel room. In a wild interview, Burchett echoed comments made by former Rep Madison Cawthorn, essentially saying that there's blackmail in his own party. Burchett explained the powerful people who write big checks in the blackmailing scheme to protect their portfolios. They know how to get at, Burchett said, and women, drugs, booze, that'll all find you. Tim Burchett, of course, explained this on The Benny Show. Now, this was a wonderful write-up. We use the Daily Mail quite often. But ladies and gentlemen, we weren't planning on seeing this when we flipped on the television last night.
The way the country's running, we should assume the politicians are being sexually blackmailed. How can you explain the open border or the record spending and all the BS that comes out of that town?
Almost done.
Well, Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee says sexual blackmail in the House, just a part of the deal.
It's how it works. You're visiting, you're out of the country or out of town, or you're in a motel or bar in D.C., and some whatever you're into, women or men or whatever, comes up and they're very attractive and they're laughing at your jokes and you're buying them a drink. Next thing you know, you're in the motel room with them naked, and next thing you know, you're about to make a key vote, and what happens?
The food run.
Some well-dressed person comes up and whispers in your ear, "Hey, man, there's tapes out on you. Were you in a motel room on whatever with whoever?" And then you're like, "Uh-oh," and said, "You really ought not be voting for this thing."
Wow, I only thought there was like one Swalwell. Turns out there's dozens.
Well, hot diggity damn, ladies and gentlemen. I would play you the clips from the show, but of course it's redundant. Anna Paulina Luna, one of our favorite members of Congress, tweeted out in response to this clip saying, "I travel with my husband at all times. If he cannot come with me, I have a female staffer as an alibi. I don't even touch alcohol in D.C. D.C. can be a nasty place. Keep your circle tight and anticipate you're always being watched." This is how the game operates. Grotesque. Disgusting. The New York Post. Tim Burchett says he's sure members of Congress have been honeypot victims. The next thing you know, you're in a hotel room with them naked. Oh, man. This is, of course, in response to Marsha Blackburn being denied getting the Jeffrey Epstein tapes. Republicans said good conservative congressmen are being blackmailed because they got naked with strangers in motel rooms. Hell to the yes. Into my veins. We are asking the correct questions on this program, and boy, do we ever appreciate your support. GOP rep makes bizarre claims about widespread sex tape blackmail in Congress. What are you talking about, you dumb ass? William Valancourt? There's literally multiple sex tapes scandals going on inside of this den of iniquity. Congressman says members compromised by Russian spies, the old honeypot. Oh yeah, baby. we are out here making the headlines. Blackmail. Republican alleges lawmakers compromise drugs or whatever you're into. How is this even remotely controversial? This is obviously true. This is like a point of statecraft. GOP Rep. Burchett. Conservative lawmakers are being blackmailed after getting drunk with attractive strangers, ending up naked in a hotel room. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it works. Madison Cawthorn tweeted this clip saying it's all being exposed. Good for him. Good for you, Madison. I am proud to be part of your redemption arc. Good for you. Now run for Congress again. Alex Jones saying it's all coming out. The CIA blackmail operation being exposed. Just wait till the Epstein list hits next month. And Darren Beatty, one of our favorites and friend of the show, saying, should have laws in place to address this. Death penalty for attempting to blackmail a government official. That's right. Except for too many of them like being blackmailed. Too many of them get rich off it. Check Nancy Pelosi's stock picks anytime recently. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of very interesting parts of the conversation that I had with Representative Burchett. However, this part about the Epstein, what will happen and why Epstein is being protected, I think is the most important. I'd like to play it for you now. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to ask these tough questions and expose these demons for who they are. So you're saying that right now, currently ongoing in our Congress, there are members of Congress who have been compromised by either special interests or the intelligence community to not give the American public information on Jeffrey Epstein?
I believe so. 100%. 100%. I want to tell you one quick thing. I know it's a little different, but I've been involved in the UAP issue. And it's, like I said, I'm not going to bring out little green men in a flying saucer, but it's about transparency. I had an amendment on the FAA reauthorization bill that said if an American pilot sees a UAP, an anomaly or something, and they make a report to the FAA, that report has to be made available to Congress. I was told by the whip, I said, what happened to my amendment? And he said, it was killed by the intelligence community. And I said, you mean the intelligence committee? And he said, no, the intelligence community. It was not even brought up. And these are unelected bureaucrats that have that much control. And so, we got to start electing people with guts in both parties. This pandering stuff that's going on now, it's just a distraction.